Welcome back to the Oscar Project Podcast, the show where I discuss Oscar-nominated films year by year. I'm your host, Jonathan Icherberg, and today I'm bringing you an interview with Lulu, director of the short film Invocation, which was selected as a semifinalist for the 2024 Student Academy Awards. Before I jump into the interview, please be sure to subscribe to the show in your podcast player so you can get all the newest episodes as soon as they are released. If you like the interview and want to hear more, please consider leaving a rating and review in Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Lulu is a director and production designer from China who recently graduated with an MA in filmmaking from London Film School, where she developed interests in directing and working in the art department. Her primary interest is rooted in cult films, and as a member of the LGBTQ+ community, she hopes to use the language of film to tell stories with different perspectives. She joins me on the podcast to talk about her film Invocation that was selected as a semifinalist for the 2024 Student Academy Awards. Lulu, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. I'm so excited to be a part of the show.
Excellent. Well, first off, tell me a little bit about the inspiration for the film. It depicts a young woman going through some changes that doctors can't quite seem to explain. So her mother turns to some kind of traditional interventions. So where did that idea for the story come from?
Well, for the inspiration, it's actually a bit of a sad story. The idea is developed from my personal experience. So when I first came up to my mom 2 years ago, she actually couldn't accept it due to some restraints of traditional Chinese conventional ideas, under the cultural background. And she even asked me to seek some medical treatments for what she saw as a disease. So I often wonder what would happen if I had followed through with the treatment she mentioned. And upon this, I had the idea of the plants rooted in a uterus, as all the issues related to being gay often connected back to fertility, especially in China when you're coming to your 30s. All the questions coming to you from the relatives, your family members will be, when you're going to get married or have a baby.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it was a very personal story, and I can tell that it feels like a very intimate film. And we're right there in a lot of the moments of the film. We can almost really feel the pain and the anguish of the main character, Guizhou, as her body experiences some changes. How important was it to draw the audience into the space of that character in order to tell the story?
Well, I'm so glad to hear you say that in intimate. It was actually very important for me and for the film to draw the audience into Guizhou's space and make them feel her journey on an intimate level. And I would like the viewers to experience her feelings as if they were right there with her, like sitting or standing beside her. I and my DOP were intentionally set the camera positions to create this sense of closeness, just like the difference between you are watching a news report compared to you are there experiencing the event. And I hope to invoke the empathy and understanding by immersing the audience in her emotional and physical transformations to arouse some thoughts about how to get along with themselves or the other in the society, when you are feeling you are different or when you see others' differences.
Yeah, and I think that really does come through in the film. I also wanted to talk a little bit about the location you used in the film. Obviously, it starts kind of in a hospital, but then you do kind of go to what seems like some sort of temple or monastery up in the mountains, which was absolutely stunning and beautiful when I saw that on the screen. How did you decide to set the story there? Obviously, you said it's rooted in your own experience. Was that something that you actually did, travel to someplace like that? Or was this film an excuse to be able to film in a location like that?
Well, thank you so much for saying so. And I would say it is actually my first time to be there when I start to shoot the film or I start to do the location scouting. It's really my first time to be there. And I would say it's a fate. The location, the place chose me and the story. So let me introduce the location first. It's in Guizhou, southwest of China, and it's Miao community. And of course, we did a lot of location scouting, then settled down all of them as details, like they actually are different parts of that district. But when I first came up with the rough idea of the story, initially it was set in a mysterious village inside the mountains. And I would say this is kind of like a typical background setting in Asia when you're looking for some secret practices like witchcraft or shamanism. And then you will have the idea that the location should be inside the mountains. And then I began researching some ethnic minorities in China, because many of whom still maintain traditional ways of life. And from those informations I learned about Miao, their beliefs in trees and animals and all of the ceremonies are so attractive and beautiful. So I decided to shoot right there. And I'm so lucky to have a classmate who is right from Guizhou, and then she became my producer then. So actually we had the location references, and then I finished the script. So location first, then the whole story.
That's fantastic. I definitely am adding that location to my bucket list of places to visit because it was absolutely beautiful.
It is really beautiful.
Now I want to talk a little bit about the sound of the film as well. There's one scene especially that jumped out to me where Gorong is in the stream towards the middle of the film, and she kind of immerses herself in the stream, and you can almost feel, based on the sound of the film, that you, like you said earlier, you're right in there with her. Talk a little bit more about the soundscape of the film, if you could.
In terms of the sound design, I had several discussions about our approach with my sound recordist, who is also handled the post-production part of the sound. And because I also do sound as well in some graduation projects, so I had some experience of post-production of sound or sound design as well. So, and after he read the script, he suggested to use slightly exaggerated sound to create a sense of mystery. I mean, I agreed, but I decided to aim for a naturalistic style first. And then based on that, we had a little emphasis on the protagonist's perspective, so involved some exaggerated processing, but mainly to reflect Gorong's varying moods in each scene, so they were slightly changed by different scenes of her feelings. So there are many sounds in the film that wouldn't be heard in reality, actually, such as the sound of plants growing inside her uterus, or her breathing, and of course, in the stream scene underwater as well, where her emotions are most intense.
That's fascinating. We've talked a bit about the locations and the character, the sound. What other challenges did you face making the film overall?
I think it's the communication part to all the actors, because most of the actors in my film, they are not like fully trained actors. They are actually just the local people from the village. So, and we speak different languages as well. They speak some dialects. So we had a bit difficult to communicate with each other. So I need to get a kind of like a translator from the location. And then
makes sense. Yeah, it's always difficult when you're not speaking the same language as someone you're trying to work with.
And I'm trying to learn dialect as well.
Sure. Now, as a Student Academy Awards semifinalist, are there any festivals or screenings of the film coming up where people can check out the film for themselves?
I'm still waiting to hear back from other festivals, and the film still holds a premiere. But it also got into the semi-finalist of Flix Rhode Island International Film Festival. But it's just semi-finalist, so I'm still waiting for the other festivals. Finger crossed. And we are planning to release it online by the end of this year. But
Excellent. We'll have people look out for that. Now, I have a couple of questions, not specifically related to the film, but before I move on, is there anything else you want to touch on about Invocation?
yeah, so as a conclusion, also from my perspective as an audience, as a director, this is an LGBTQ plus story, but the original intention behind writing this script was very simple. It's just to raise a question that I would like to provoke some thoughts, because no one in the story is truly wrong, whether the mother, the daughter, or the villagers. The question is, what went wrong? Who killed Gurung? And I hope everyone could see their own story or different stories. And I hope that different groups of people will see themselves reflected in the story, whether they feel rejected by those around them or feel that they don't fit in.
For sure. Really appreciate you saying that. Now, this might be the hardest question I ask of the day, but if you had to pick your top 3 films of all time, what would they be?
This is a really tough question. I would say I also prepared a lot of different versions, but finally I would say I would choose 3 films that have influenced me the most and helped me to shape my vision, my style, and the way I express things in my story. And first of all, Kill Bill, typical and simple, from Quentin Tarantino, because he is the director has influenced me the most since my teenage years. And Kill Bill might not be my favorite film of his, but it was the very first one which brought me to his film world, and I started to like his film. And the second one would be The Killing of Sacred Deer, directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, the director of Poor Things. Yeah, and I chose it because this might not be my favorite film of his, but I will put this one in the top 3 list as it was my university graduation status, and I got a pass, and I graduated successfully of that. So a big thank to this film. The last one will be Row from Julia Ducournau. She probably is the first female director on my top list, because her film affected me a lot. The wild and creative style.
Excellent. Three really good choices there. Now, on the same kind of idea, but a little bit more of a fun question, if you could invite any 3 movie characters to your next dinner party, who would they be and why?
I actually had a question if the animation films could be counted.
Absolutely. Animation is just as well as anything else.
Yeah. Then if the animation films is counted, then I would say Flint Lockwood from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Okay.
Because he had a machine.
Yep, he can make as much food as he wants.
Yes. Yeah. And second born will be Martin from Another Round, played by Mads Mikkelsen, directed by Thomas Vinterberg. I don't know if you know that.
Yep, I know the film.
Yeah. Because I love alcohol, I love drinks, I like the feeling of drunk, not too drunk, slightly drunk. Mads is so handsome, by the way.
Yes, he is.
And the last one, I will go for a very cool girl. either Francis from Francis Ha, played by Greta Gerwig, or Justin from Row, played by Garance Mariella.
Okay.
Maybe probably still go for Justin, because I really would like to ask her what happened to her life after she killed her boyfriend. And the most important thing is she's a meat lover, even though they are raw meat. But me as well, I'm a meat lover, which is very good because we are having the meatballs from the clouds.
That's right. Flint Lockwood's going to provide a lot of good stuff for that.
Yeah. Yes.
Excellent. Very interesting dinner party. I definitely would want to be a part of that one. Now, do you have any books that you could recommend that you've read recently? Could be fiction or nonfiction and don't necessarily have to be related to movies.
I see. There's really one that I just finished and I really like the whole style of the writer. It's called Zoo, from a Japanese writer, Ozoichi. It's his pen name, and his real name is Hirotaka Adachi. And if you were a fan of thriller and horror short stories, you must be like his works, because he thought his visions are so unique.
Excellent. Well, we'll include a link to that to where folks can check that out if they'd be interested in reading that. And lastly, before we wrap things up, do you have any other projects lined up beyond Invocation? And also, where can people follow you on social media to keep tabs on what you're working on?
Cool. I do have a project we will shoot in late September, and I'm the director and one of the writers. But it's a really small project, and it will be around 10 minutes in the end. And we will use both digital and Super 8 film cameras. And we are planning to release the film online as soon as possible, so I will keep posting on my Instagram.
Excellent. And what is that Instagram handle?
So mine is a groove/LLU, so we didn't have the film Instagram yet, but we will have one later.
Excellent. Well, we'll include a link to that as well so people can keep tabs on what you're working on.
Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Well, Lulu, thank you so much for the time today. Really appreciated you sharing your own story and the story of the film with me and getting to learn a little bit about you.
Yeah, thank you so much for today, Jonathan. Thank you for having me on the show. And truly, thank you for your interest to Invocation as well. I hope I could bring Invocation soon for meeting with more audience.
Thank you again to my guest today, Lulu. Her short film, Invocation, was selected as a semifinalist for the 2024 Student Academy Awards. The Oscar Project podcast is written and produced by me, Jonathan Eaterberg, with editing assistance from Joshua Eaterberg. Please be sure to come back for my next episode, where I'll be speaking with Robin Wang, director of the short film Neither Donkey Nor Horse. Until then, I hope to see you at the movies.